Hi besties, welcome back to my channel. Today's video, I thought we could do a fun TBR jar picks the next books that I read for the upcoming months. I do my TBR videos slightly differently in that I don't pick books for the next month, I pick them for the season. So this will be my spring season TBR, and the reason why I do this is because I am such a mood reader that if I tried to do this specifically for a month only, I would utterly fail. So I give myself basically 3 months to get through my TBR selection, and then we do it again for the next season. So this will be for spring season. I have printed out a lot of prompts, and now we will just randomly pick. I'm thinking we'll do 8 prompts and then try and find books that match them. Let's get to picking. This is going to be for book 1 of my spring TBR. All right, here we go. And the prompt is a book with 2 people on the cover. Okay, that's pretty specific. I don't know if we have any. Right, so truly the only book that I have on my physical TBR that fits this prompt is Blue Sisters. I said I was gonna read this in winter and I just didn't get around to it. I was in my fantasy era, okay? So this really didn't scream to me. However, it's officially on the spring TBR, so we must get to it. Right, book number 2 selection. Oop, one just fell out. I guess that's a sign. This one fell out of the cup. And this one says, read a new release / comes out this year. Actually, you guys, I know exactly what book I'm going to read because I have an arc of it. This is a new release and it is coming out March 29th, and it's Ashley Winstead's next thriller book, This Book Will Bury Me. I received an early copy of this book and I need to read it. So this is actually a great excuse to put it on my TBR to make sure I read it, and it's a priority read for me. So this is going to be the book that is for reading a new release. So I'm excited. I have high hopes for this book. I love Ashley Winstead. I will say one of her other thrillers that I read last year, what was it called? I don't know. I just, you guys know, I vlogged it. The last thriller book I read from Ashley Winstead was just not it. I didn't like it. So I'm really hoping this one's better. I've seen already initial reviews of this book from other people who have gotten copies and everyone's been raving about it. So fingers crossed it's a hit, like In My Dreams I Hold a Knife was. But okay, I am stoked about that. That's a good book for the second book on my TBR. Moving along, let's pick prompt number 3. Okay, here we go. Prompt 3 is, oh no, a thriller / a mystery book on your TBR. So you know how like I've been saying I'm not in my mystery thriller mood? Well, I guess the TBR jar is deciding I need to read these books so that they get off my TBR. Okay, so the book that I've picked for this prompt is Kill for Me, Kill for You. It's kind of a shorter mystery thriller book. I really don't know much other than this was a hard book to find. I could not find it at my Barnes & Noble and I had to request it for a Christmas gift, and even my family and friends like struggled finding this book, but someone was able to gift it to me, so I appreciate that. But I have seen tremendous reviews about this one. People thoroughly enjoyed it. I think it's really quick paced and I'm excited. This is going to be book number 3 on my spring TBR. Alrighty, moving along to, what are we on? Prompt number 4 already. I swear, these go so fast. Oh boy, here we go. What's it gonna be? Oh, random number generator picks the next book. All right, let me count up how many we have and then I will put it into a random generator and then we will see which book gets picked.
There are 13 books in total on my physical TBR here.
All right, here we go. Here we go. Number 12. Okay, you guys, so this actually worked out perfectly because book number 12 on my TBR was the next book in the Throne of Glass universe, which is something I've been dying to get to. So I am ecstatic that this is how it worked out. And now I have an excuse to continue reading on in this series. I'm sure I'm going to just get sucked right into it. So very, very, very happy this worked out in my favor. I was kind of afraid I might have to read a Christmas book because I do have a Christmas romance book in this stack here, but the random generator came through and I'm gonna be reading the next book in the Throne of Glass series. All right, we are on now prompt number 5. Let's see. Okay, a book that one of your fave booktubers loves. Oh boy. For a second, I didn't know which book I was going to select, but I'm gonna do something crazy. It's ambitious of me because it's a thick book, but I just have to do it. The book that I'm going to be picking is The Will of the Many. This book is thick, and I think that's why I've been putting off reading it. But as you guys know, like I said at the beginning of this video, I've really been in my fantasy era, and every single person I've seen read this book has raved about it, particularly Books and Lala. She read this, I think in January, and gave it an absolute 5-star rating. She's obsessed with it and now is telling people to read it. So I think this is a sign I should pick this up. I need to add it to my TBR so I can finally see why people are hyping this book up and why it was in so many people's top books of last year. So I think it's time, I think this is my sign to read this chunky book. This is 620 pages, so it's thick. She's a thick book. It's gonna be a doozy to read, but I am excited. I am here for the challenge, and I'm taking this as a sign that I need to read it. Right, prompt number 6. What's it gonna be? Prompt number 6. Okay, here we go. The next book in a series you have not finished. I'm gonna be honest, it's Throne of Glass. Throne of Glass is the only series that I have started and haven't finished yet. So the other books on my TBR are the first in series. So I'm taking this as a sign to start a new series, basically. So there are 2 series that I have been wanting to start. One has been on my TBR for a hot minute, and then the other one, I've seen a lot of people read it in the past few months and it's intrigued me. So the first book that's been on my TBR for a hot minute is Red Rising. I feel like I've seen mixed reviews of people either love this book or they hate it. It is on the shorter end, so I feel like to give myself a break, I should probably pick a shorter book. I'm just on the fence. I've seen such mixed reviews on it that I don't know. It's also, I think, more sci-fi leaning into the fantasy world, which would be new for me. I haven't really dabbled in sci-fi fantasy, so that would be different. So I could read that as like maybe a palate cleanser type of book. Or I could read this YA, I believe it's YA fantasy, which is An Ember in the Ashes. I have seen this on so many people's like TBR videos, vlogs. Like this book I think has just been resurfacing a bunch. I don't even think it's that new. Let's see, when did this, oh my gosh, excuse me, how did I not know there was art in this book? Okay, slay, love that. Okay, yeah, this book came out in like 2015, so it's not like this book is new. I do think they revamped the covers, so maybe that's why it's recirculating again. However, I've seen so many people read this series and really love it, and it's just, this is, I think, making a stronger case for me than Red Rising. You think I would pick Red Rising because it's been on my TBR for so damn long. But I'm feeling An Ember in the Ashes just because it's YA. Usually YA's quick-paced, easy to get into. I think I'm gonna pick this one. Okay, I'm calling it right now. We're picking this one. I'll eventually get to Red Rising, I think maybe more in the fall, but it's not feeling like the right time just yet for that one. Okay, prompt number 7. What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be? Here we go. A book from an author you've never read from yet. Okay guys, I decided we're just really leaning into the fantasy genre in these next few months, and the book that I'm going to pick for this prompt of reading a book from an author I've never read from yet, which I feel like this is gonna be a shock that I haven't read this book. I've seen it everywhere throughout the years of my life. I've just never felt compelled to read it until now, and that is The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. I've never read any R.F. Kuang books. I've been wanting to read Yellowface, I've been wanting to read Babel, but I figured it was probably best to start with some of her more earlier works. And so The Poppy War I know is beloved. I love all these covers. I also love the white edition of these covers. So I think it's just time that I start kind of where it all began, I guess, and read The Poppy War and see if I like R.F. Kuang's writing. I know her writing style I feel like is hit or miss for some people, but I think this trilogy overall is beloved. And the last prompt, you guys, for my spring TBR. Flowers on the cover of the book. Oh, this is fitting, very spring. Okay, let's see. What book has flowers on it? Okay, so there's actually nothing on my physical TBR, but let's go check my Goodreads and see if we can find something there. The prompt being flowers on the cover of the book, I'm going to read Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. I know people adore these books, and the 3rd book that's coming out is this beautiful purpley cover. Like, this cover is stunning. And I think these are technically standalones in an interconnected world, but I figured I should go back and read the first book technically in this franchise, this universe, and that is Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. People love these books. I've seen literally nothing bad about them, and it's about time I read a Kennedy Ryan book. So very happy with that. So that rounds out my TBR, but let's reflect on all the books that I picked. Okay, so the first prompt that I pulled was a book with 2 people on the cover, and with that I picked Blue Sisters. This was on my winter TBR and I never got to it, so I'm taking this as a sign to read this spring. And it was also the only book that I physically owned that had multiple faces on it, so we have to read this, you guys. Hold me accountable. We need to read it. The next prompt that I pulled was a new release coming out this year, and I picked this book, Will Bury Me by Ashley Winstead. I love Ashley Winstead. I adored In My Dreams I Hold a Knife and The Boyfriend Candidate, so I have high hopes for this one, even though I didn't love one of her other thriller books. However, all the reviews I've seen of this so far are really good, so fingers crossed I actually enjoy this thriller. Next book that I picked was a thriller slash mystery on my TBR, and I picked Kill for Me, Kill for You. It's a short book, hopefully it's quick paced, and hopefully I love it. I have high hopes. I really like this cover as well. So this is book number 3 on my TBR. Then just so happens the next prompt that I pick was a random number generator picks my read, and they just so happened to pick the second book, or the next book I guess I should say, in the Throne of Glass universe, which is what I am on, and I'm ecstatic. It could not have worked out better for me, so I will probably be reading this one sooner than later, just because I'm really wanting to dive into this universe and finally see why people love these characters. So really happy about this pick. Next book that is on my TBR is a book that is beloved by one of my favorite YouTubers, and it's The Will of the Many. I know several people love this book, but I'm specifically referencing Books and Lala. Kayla, she recently read this and gave it 5 stars. I'm afraid, however, I'm excited because I have literally seen nothing but good things about this book. The next book that I picked was the next book in a series that you have not finished, so I'm kind of cheating with this and just starting a new series, and I decided to go with An Ember in the Ashes. I've literally have seen this on everyone's reading list, TBR videos, recently read, and I just think it's time that I finally read this. I also really love the cover, and I didn't realize there was art in the book, so this is me making an excuse to just really continue leaning into fantasy. The second to last book that I pulled was for a book from an author you've never read from, and I decided to go with The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. This will be my first book from R.F. Kuang, so I'm really excited to not only see what her writing style is like, but also to read this trilogy specifically. I know this is a beloved trilogy, so I am really curious on what my thoughts will be on it and if I will also be obsessed with it. And then the last book that rounds out my TBR is Flowers on the book cover, and we will be reading Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. This is a beloved romance book. Kennedy Ryan is one of the queens of romance in this genre, so I feel like it's time that I naturally read a book from her, and that will be a nice palate cleanser because, like I said, my books are really leaning towards fantasy and thrillers, and I feel like I'm just gonna need a palate cleanser book like Kennedy Ryan to, you know, cleanse the palette, level set before I dive into another fantasy book. So these are all the books that I'm gonna be reading in the next few months. Oh wow, they kind of all like fit a color scheme, very like blue, navy, and like orange represented. Unintentional, but I'm so here for it. So these are all the books, a lot of, like I said, fantasy and thriller books in this mix, but that's not to say I won't be reading other books. These are just going to be some priority reads to make sure that I am cleaning out my TBR. If you have read any of these books, let me know your thoughts on them down below. Also, if you have any additional recommendations for books that I should be checking out, adding to my TBR, definitely make sure to let me know down below as well. And then lastly, what are some of the books that you are trying to prioritize in the next few months? I feel like we all have books that are on the top of our reading list, and I would love to hear from you guys what they are. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe as always so you don't miss out on my next video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye guys.